Day 2 of Senior Bowl practice in the books in Mobile, Alabama. I was there. What did I see? What stood out? Couple of positions that the Texans could use some depth and could use some starters as well, shaking out in a very fun way here in Mobile, Alabama. Plus, the Texans fired a coach, or reportedly are firing a coach on their offensive staff. Just probably not the one most are expecting to get shown the door. I'll get you the 7 big observations from the Senior Bowl, who stood out in day 2, and so much more. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans. And as I mentioned, in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, before we get into those 7 observations, which includes some linebackers, some defensive linemen, some offensive linemen, and then some skill position players on offense, the Texans are reportedly set to fire tight end coach Jake Moreland. Talked a lot about this on SNL with Landry Locker earlier today. And Moreland had been the tight ends coach for a few seasons, and it was a little surprising to me when Moreland was retained when Nick Caley was brought in to be the offensive coordinator. Caley coached tight ends, and the only significant change to the offensive staff was Cole Popovich promoted to offensive line coach, Jerry Shulpinski added as an assistant coach in a specified role, and Nick Caley as the offensive coordinator. That was it. And I thought for sure tight end might be one of those spots where the Texans may go a different direction. Ultimately, they now are going to go a different direction, according to Jonathan Alexander from the Houston Chronicle. Moreland, his position group had been fine. The tight ends had not been amazing by any means. They had not been standout players at that spot. Dalton Schultz was really good when he got here, and then had a really bad 2024, bounced back in 2025. But that room has pretty much been Schultz and company for most of the time that D'Amico Ryans has been here. Cade Stover was hurt twice this year, and when he was healthy, he didn't look like he made a big jump from who he was as a rookie. That's maybe Moreland, that's maybe Stover, it's maybe a combination of both. Brevin Jordan got hurt before the season started and had a season-ending injury for the second year in a row, so you don't really hold that against Moreland. It just feels like one of those situations where it maybe need to change more than that. And if that's the only thing you change, that'd be curious and maybe suspect. But I have to imagine that there's somebody or something that the Texans will want out of this next tight end coach to make a better impact on the position. But you could have the best tight end coach of all time. I don't know who that is. I don't know who the Dante Scarnecchia of tight end coaches are. You get the best tight end coach of all time. You don't have any talent there. It doesn't matter. So they've got to get better players. They can't bet on Stover, Brevin Jordan, and Dalton Schultz again like they did a year ago. And that's how you get stuck with the Harrison Bryants of the world playing large amounts of time for you at tight end. So they fire Jake Moreland, and the big thing that I said earlier on SNL, if it gets to the point where you look at Moreland's body of work and you say, time to move on from him, I have to imagine you would eventually apply the same thing to quarterbacks coach Gerard Johnson. Hey, the quarterback really good a couple of years ago, and then not very good in 2024 compared to expectations, still below expectations in 2025. Maybe the time to try something different there from that standpoint. So I wanted to talk about that, the Jake Moreland exit, and the reported Jake Moreland exit before we move on to the Senior Bowl stuff, the observations from the Senior Bowl. And if you're unaware, Senior Bowl is a select game, an all-star game for college athletes ahead of the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft. And it's mostly seniors, obviously the Senior Bowl, but they've added non-seniors in the recent years, and that's allowed them to have an influx of talent here in this game. And yesterday was dominated by the defenses. The quarterback play was bad. The defensive lines were really good. The offensive lines were a little up and down. Today, there were some nice defensive standout moments, but the offenses bounced back. More impressive quarterback play, a little bit better from some of the wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. The offensive lines held up a little bit more, allowed the quarterbacks to make some plays. So that was certainly something good to see, because you don't want to spend 3 days in Mobile, Alabama with the defense just dominating the offensive players. That's not what you want to watch for 3 straight days. So it's good to kind of have the back and forth defense on day 1. Offense does what they do here on day 2 a little bit better. But to me, the story of the day, the show off of the day, the big story And the big standout player of the day was Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez. J-Rod's big day, to me, was the number one story out of here. He is a linebacker, and when you think about how you could affect a practice and some of the one-on-one situations and opportunities, linebackers don't feel like the type of player that make a huge splash or make a big impact. And I frequently think about the linebacker spot when training camp rolls around, and I think, okay, well, yeah, okay, he looked like he's in the position. Oh, okay, that coverage snap was good, but what can you do when there's no real hitting? There's no taking anybody to the ground. You're just guessing on, okay, was the guy there in time and the coverage snaps? Well, Rodriguez was really good in the coverage one-on-ones again, and he just, I don't remember which running back it was, but you can touch the running backs and you can hit them in the first few yards of the line of scrimmage. And Rodriguez got in there and just mauled his guy right there at the line of scrimmage, and the guy never got out the rep off, never got the pass off, the quarterback did. And that was nice to see. He had another really good rep down the sideline where he used the sideline as his additional defender and made things tough on the running back there. And then when they got into teams, he's in the right spot. He's there to make the two-hand touch because they're not tackling guys. He's there to wrap guys up when, guys want to thump a little bit. And then towards the back end of the practice and towards the back end of the team periods, Rodriguez forced a fumble, which he did 7 times at his time at Texas Tech. And then he got an interception late in practice. And that was it for team period. After the fumble and the interception, Rodriguez did a really good job there. And then they put him in one-on-ones with TCU tight end DJ Rogers. And then DJ Rogers got him to end practice. So, it wasn't the perfect day, but a really big day from Jacob Rodriguez. And I saw it was a couple of different draft people say, this is a player that when NFL teams think about him, even if the testing isn't good at the combine, they feel like he's a back end of round 3 or top of round 4 type of player. So final part of day 2, first part of day 3, that round 3, round 4, they feel like he could step in and take over as the guy in the middle of a defense for an NFL team. And if he could do that eventually, that's a really nice draft pick. Right away, Rodriguez has some usefulness as a special teams demon. Think about the forced fumbles. Think about the knowledge and awareness, the sure tackling, adding that to a special teams unit, and then having him as a key backup at linebacker. Now, I don't know if the Texans would prioritize that with a day 2 selection. I didn't think they'd prioritize a backup cornerback with a day 2 selection last year. That's exactly what they did with Jalen Smith. Jacob Rodriguez feels very much like he could be a guy for the Texans to target. And certainly if he sneaks into that early part of day 3, where he's a 4th round pick, feels like it's a very good chance the Texans would take a swing on a guy like that. Maybe a little rich in the 3rd round, especially when you think about where the Texans are currently picking, which is the top of the 3rd round. So maybe a little rich there, but Nick Caserio likes to move around. If he added an additional 3rd round pick, I'm certainly not going to be upset if J-Rod from Texas Tech, my alma mater, so I'm a little partial, not going to lie, but it'd certainly be nice to see a J-Rod get an opportunity there in a Texans uniform. That dude can play. He can flat out play. We'll get to some of your comments, your questions, your joys, and concerns here in just a minute. Super Chats jump to the front of the line. Appreciate everybody being members of the channel as well. While J-Rod had a big day, there were a couple of other linebackers that had a really nice day. And I mentioned this guy, I think, a little bit yesterday. And if I didn't mention him, I know I wrote about him at Houston Football. Kyle Lewis, I believe it's Lewis. It's either Lewis or Luis. I think it's Lewis maybe. But the Pittsburgh linebacker. And he was all over the place. He had the interception late yesterday, and then he had another really good day today. And I really liked the presence of him because he was a smaller linebacker, still is a smaller linebacker. He's a smaller linebacker. He's not a huge guy. He's right at 6 feet tall. And I think I'm going to go with Lewis. He's right at 6 feet tall. And he was all over the place, man. He was all over the place. He was flying to the football. He was breaking up passes. He was physical in the run game. He's where he was supposed to be in those situations. So I really liked his day. And he was, pretty cool after practice talking about, hey, I've just got to go out here. I got to prove what I can do. I've got to be physical. I got to show them that I play bigger than I am. So I thought that was nice from him. And in addition to that, now these guys are all on the same team too, by the way. These are guys that are all on the national team. Jacob Rodriguez, Kyle Lewis, and this other linebacker that I'm about to talk about. They're all on the same team. So it was a nightmare for the running backs and the quarterbacks and some of the tight ends, the wide receivers to deal with. Bryce Betcher from Oregon. And Betcher was really good for the Ducks. He's a former walk-on for the football team, as he won the Burlsworth Award a couple of years ago, and that's given to the top walk-on. He's a two-sport athlete, got drafted in the 12th round, the 13th round by the Houston Astros in 2024, played at Oregon. And then he was a first-team All-American in 2025 and a second-team All-Big Ten in 24 and 25. He's not a big guy. He's really not. You're going to see listed at 6'2", 220. He might catch the 220, but he's not 6'2". He's not a huge guy. And he was talking about that after practice today. And he said, look, my job was to come out here and prove to coaches that I play bigger than my listed height. He's right at 6 foot, a little bit over, and 220. Okay. And he said, it's my goal to come out here, play fast, show that I'm an athlete, show that I play bigger than my size, and really kind of display my cerebral attack at the linebacker spot. He said he was really proud of how hard he worked with Coach Dan Lanning and all of his coaches on the defensive side at Oregon to become the mastermind of the defense, to know where guys are supposed to be, to know where he's got to be lining up, to anticipate things. He was really proud of that, his between-the-ears ability. And again, Betcher, not a high-round pick, and certainly the athleticism concerns for his size are going to be there. But if you're looking at a guy that, okay, how do I use you right away, and can you eventually be a depth player for us at your position, Betcher fits the mold. So a couple of linebackers to get the day started, standing out, looking really good. And Jacob Rodriguez started, Kyle Lewis, I got to figure out how to say it. And then Bryce Betcher, who's also a Houston Astros draft prospect. So I thought that was kind of funny. I want to get some of your comments and your questions here in just a second. Right after I tell you about my friends at Sleeper. Sleeper is daily fantasy, just one football game left in the season. But you can still get signed up with Sleeper when you get signed up with my code Stoots, STOOTS. You're going to get a $20 deposit, or $20 no deposit required entry. You're also going to get a deposit up to $100. And it's not just football on Sleeper. Daily fantasy with basketball, hockey, baseball is right around the corner. You can do esports sometimes. There's all sorts of fun stuff on Sleeper from a daily fantasy perspective, and you're going to get all those great benefits using my code Stoots, STOOTS, the free $20 no deposit required entry, as well as the deposit match up to $100. Terms and conditions do apply for my friends at Sleeper, but when you sign up, use the code Stoots, STOOTS. Get signed up and play some daily fantasy today. Let's get some of your comments and your questions. Syscom wants Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard from Oregon, and Pregnon, a highly touted guard, probably a first rounder, and certainly would be a good selection at 28. Dime is in here. Appreciate you. Megalbins wants Katron Allen, the running back from Penn State. We will talk about Katron before the show is over. Ado is in here. Good to see you. Nick Jones. Who? Nick Jones. Stoots, please tell me this specimen by the name of Dunker is good enough to be on this team. I need him wearing number 69, mauling Simmons on Sundays and stealing sisters on Mondays. Please and thank you. That would be Jennings Dunker that you're talking about. He is a offensive lineman from Iowa, and Dunker was a very popular guy at the media availability today, and is he's a unique looking guy, and that helps his profile. And then he goes out there and he backs it up on the field. And we showed you a little bit of what Dunker looks like yesterday. This is what Dunker looks like. He's got a mullet. He's got this bright red hair, nasty little mustache. And yeah, he's really just a mauler. And I tweeted out that picture of him and a comment that he had about he wants to be able to play all 5 positions on the offensive line. And it feels like in the comment section or in the responses or the quote tweets, it feels like 20 different NFL fan bases want him to be on their team. So he's backed it up with some good play. We'll talk about Dunker here in just a minute. AJ weighs in. What's up, Cody? Need Jacob Rodriguez on this Texans team. Cowboy hat and mustaches are what this locker room needs. Yeah, can you imagine Rodriguez playing well and then getting like Kamari and Bullock and Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter in on the cowboy hat bit? Wouldn't that be great? Replace the Letterman jackets with cowboy hats. How about that? Dime says, I feel like the last time we saw Brevin was the huge touchdown versus the Browns. That's pretty much the last time you saw him. That is pretty much the last time you saw him. A little bit in the following season, couple of games, and got hurt in the Bears game, then didn't see him in 2025 because of the injury in training camp. Cody, appreciate how clutch you've been giving us insight in the Senior Bowl every year. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Don Wanaku. Thanks for coming in. Did McClain vote for Belichick? I think he did. I would hope he did. Patrick's checking in. He says he'll be back later. Vontae Mack got drafted number 1 overall on draft day. That was a funny movie until they drafted a off-ball linebacker number 1, and it's like, huh? Okay. It's a little out there, a little too out there. The tight ends will get mentioned today. Cody, how do you feel about Cade Otton being tight end 1? Otton is a free agent, played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If he's your best tight end, I don't know you have a very good tight end room, but you can do a lot worse than Cade Otton. Mustard Papers here. Good to see you. Who's our Graham Brady in this draft this year? Oh, you're looking for a Graham Mertz-esque late round pick that could turn into Tom Brady. Got there necessarily just yet with quarterbacks, but I'm sure I'll have one by the end of the draft process that I'd be fine with them spending a late round pick. We'll talk about Slaughter. Stick around. He's got 70s football vibes. He's got 70-something vibes. I don't know, 70s football or 70s, mattress actor, Trade the first or draft Emmanuel Pregnon. Would you trade up for Vega Ione? That's the Penn State offensive lineman guard. I probably wouldn't trade up for him. I just feel like you can find someone pretty close, and I don't know that you may have to. He's an interesting case study because he was good at Penn State. And a lot of the reason Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton had success was a guy like Vega. So that will be an interesting one. All right, back to the observations from the Senior Bowl. Observation number 3, the O-line bounce back was there. I was wanting the offensive linemen to bounce back and have a good day after the defensive line had their way with them yesterday, and they did just that. Jennings Dunker, we just talked about him, the Iowa offensive lineman. He had another good day and some good moments. Keelan Rutledge, who we talked about yesterday, big nasty from Georgia Tech. He had some nice moments, got whooped up on a little bit. I feel like the defense starts having some annoyance with Rutledge and his extracurriculars. He got a little shovey. At one point, a coach pulled him away and kind of gave him a little talking to and explained, hey, that's your teammate. It's practice. You want to show off, but that's your teammate. I think the defense got a little tired of his ass in this practice, but Rutledge still doing his thing. Demetrius Crownover, the tackle from Texas A&M, big fella, left tackle, right tackle in this practice. Couple of really nice moments from him. He's just so big, and he just envelops guys. And I wonder if, because you have Ariante Ursary, who is a big football player, and they played Trent Brown, who's an even bigger football player, if they have a type, if they have a guy that they really like from a size perspective, because Crownover checks in right about what Ursery checked in at the Senior Bowl. Crownover's right about 6'7". I think Ursery officially at the Senior Bowl last year was 6'6", 330, so about the same weight. And let me see what Ursery's official Texans. Yeah, so 6'6", 330. Imagine if your tackles were both just massive human beings and you had another Ariante Ursery on the other side, opposite Ariante Ursery. If Crownover maybe could be that. I think there's definitely some fine-tuning that needs to happen to his game, and it'll be interesting to see if scouts think he's as strong as some of the previous offensive linemen, but the big fella was getting it done. So Texas A&M's Demetrius Crownover had a nice day. Alan Herron at Maryland, was reading some scouts talk about him, was not on anybody's radar. Back-to-back days, I have just written the word wall, W-A-L-L, next to Alan Herron's name. He's just been walling guys off and been very good at it at the tackle spot. He's not a huge guy by any means. He looks very small next to some of his teammates. He's not a small guy. He's a little over 6'4", 320 pounds, carries the weight in his midsection and the middle part of his body. But I'd be interested to see, if that's a guy that can turn into a key depth piece for a team, maybe a draft and stash that could compete or push or eventually become a 6th, 7th offensive lineman for a team. But Alan Herron had some really nice moments, and it was not on really anybody's radar. Sam Hecht, the Kansas State center, people are praising him nonstop, had some really good moments. Logan Taylor from Boston College, he had some nice moments at guard. He's a guard. He primarily played right guard at practice today. There's some absolute monsters over on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage for the American team, and Logan Taylor held his own and had some really nice moments. But the best player at tackle for me in the practice today, Arizona State's Max Ihanator. Ihanator hasn't been playing football that long. I believe he started playing football in 2011, and he's been at Arizona State for a couple of seasons, didn't allow a sack this past year for the Sun Devils, and Ihanator was all over these defensive linemen, just locking them up. Nobody going anywhere. And I just, in my notes, multiple times, locked up. He had such a very, very good day that it was impressive to see him build on some good stuff from yesterday to continue it to just an awesome performance in the one-on-ones. These one-on-ones are not set up to be fun for these offensive linemen, but Ihanator was really good. He's a big player. And again, there's some potential to him because of the fact that he hasn't been playing football that long. But there's also just some raw talent that's useful right now. 325, 6'5", and almost a half. It's a little over 6'5", and only been playing football for a handful of years. If you feel like you could develop him, Ihanator is a guy that you would absolutely be excited about. A couple of linemen that had rough days. Trey Zune from Texas A&M, he's playing interior after playing outside for the Aggies. Rough stretch for him. And Bo Stevens from Iowa. Stevens was a guy I was excited to watch. He was an All-American, first-team All-American, first-team All-Big Ten, and Bo Stevens has had a rough couple of days. So feel pretty bad for Bo. It's not looked good. He's getting tossed around at the guard spots, and I don't know what's not clicking for him, and maybe it's by virtue of having some good teammates around him. He looked good at a couple of spots, but Bo Stevens had a rough couple of days. That was a guy I was excited to watch. Part of the reason he's having a rough couple of days is because these dang monsters on the defensive line, so many different ones. Lee Hunter was, of course, incredible. Again, the Texas Tech defensive tackle. He was very, very good once more, and just rolling through people, just pass rushing, run stuffing, breaking up double teams. Lee Hunter, obviously, very good, but maybe even better than Lee Hunter was Zion Young today from Missouri. And yesterday, Derek Moore just bowled over and basically laid on top of an offensive lineman, just busted through him, knocked him to the ground, and then just kind of got up and, boom, reps over. You got embarrassed a little bit. Zion Young did that today. He just blasted through a offensive lineman. The lineman's flat on his back. Young is up, having, a lot to say about what he did, and he was really, really good. Pass rushing, stuff in the run. This American team defensive line is very good, and they have a lot of really good players, and Zion Young was the standout guy in this one. It trailed only by his teammate at Missouri, Chris McClellan. And Chris McClellan's a defensive tackle. Young's an edge guy, but defensive tackle Chris McClellan from Missouri, awesome, disruptive, heavy-handed, moving guys out of the way. Did not see a lot of resistance in this one. So McClellan had a really nice day at defensive tackle. He's number 97. Watch for him in the game if he ends up playing, because he's going to show off and he's going to make some big plays. Derek Moore from Michigan. He's a speedy guy, not the biggest guy in the world, and maybe a little undersized for traditional defensive end, but somebody will grab him and find a way to draw out some of that ability and how well he can play. He's used speed to power, really good stuff from Derek Moore in this one. And then a couple of names that I haven't mentioned yet. Romello Height from Texas Tech had a couple of really nice plays in the national team practice and the early practice for the day. And he's an undersized guy, but used the speed and didn't have trouble fighting through some of the stuff to make some plays. And then Grayson Halton, who's an interior defensive lineman from Oklahoma, number 54, he got going today, and he never stopped, and he never shut up either. I'm sure it was very annoying to have Grayson Halton out there just kicking your ass, and then he's talking nonstop the entire time. So Grayson Halton from Oklahoma, he popped up on my radar after a really good practice today in the afternoon or the evening practice. And that's a guy that I, do a little bit more research on, look a little bit more at, read about him a little bit more. And can't say that I love watching Oklahoma football, but they had some pretty nice defensive performances. So I got to go back and see how much of that was Halton. But Grayson Halton, interior defensive lineman, good stuff from him. Senior Bowl observation number 5. He's going to be somebody's bud. Why couldn't he be your bud? Bud Clark, TCU safety. Bud Clark. He wears number 21 for the national team. And if he plays in the game on Saturday, he probably will get an interception. He had an interception in one-on-ones. He had an incredible pass breakup where the quarterback scrambled. So it's a scramble drill. Clark sees the quarterback take off and sees the wide receiver that's got a good chance. And Clark just closing speed gets in there, bats the ball away. The defense goes nuts. And he was filling in the run game and reading. I think it was Eric Edholm talking about him. He feels like he's a top of the fourth round, top of day 3 type of guy. 15 interceptions at TCU. They used him all over the field. And the Texans don't need a safety. You need a starter next to Kalen Bullock. But I don't know if they'd want to put Bud Clark there. They obviously like Jalen Reed and believe in him to an extent because they were playing him in the playoffs and starting him in the playoffs and waited for him to get back at the back end of the season and opted for him over veterans. So maybe Bud Clark doesn't fulfill an immediate need, but if you end up with a player like Bud Clark, special teams demon right away, and then maybe plays himself into a couple of opportunities, a couple snaps on the defense at that safety spot. But you could see the ball hawking nature. You could see the analyzation that Clark has when he kind of dials in and sees what he wants and goes and gets it. It's a really good job by Bud Clark. It's going to be somebody's bud. Maybe he could be your bud, D'Amico Ryans. Maybe he could be your bud. So couple more of your comments and questions, and then we will get to the final couple of observations here from the Senior Bowl. Let's see here. Syscom thinks that Jacob Rodriguez will go in the late second or third round. Who knows how high up he could go. I mean, certainly the Senior Bowl's helping. The tape's not going to be bad for him. People might ding him for the workout at the combine, but I'm not so sure he's not going to go out there and do good enough for everybody. BG Woodside, good evening, pal, Indrome Pal. Yes, my last name is indeed a palindrome. You can spell it backwards or forwards. Dime, any Iowa State Cyclones to keep an eye on? Nobody here at the Senior Bowl, but there is a player in the draft process, Dominique Orange, who's an interior defensive lineman. Big Citrus is his nickname. So Dominique Orange is a player that from Iowa State that I'll be keeping an eye on and be thinking about. Do the Texans have a realistic shot at Rodriguez? Abraham Hernandez asks. I assume they'd only go after him if they sign Brees and draft a lineman. Sign Brees and draft a lineman. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think they got a shot at him. Yeah, for sure. I don't know how early you want to go, but they got a shot at him. How many total O linemen do we come out of the draft with this year? I've been thinking about this. You don't want to have a bunch of young guys. Not to say that you don't want to trust young guys, and if they play well, they play well, and there's going to be some growing pains. You'd like to have a couple of veterans, so if you keep 9 guys, you'd probably lean to at max 4 of them being second year or less guys. So Ursary, and I know Jake Andrews is going to be technically in his 4th year in the NFL, but it's his 2nd year playing. So there's 2. Let's say you draft a starter. There's 3. And let's say you draft a backup. Well, there's 4. And one of those is probably a key backup. And I'd guess maybe like in the interior. So the other ones need to be old guys. Well, Titus Howard's an old guy. So there's 5 offensive linemen already. Now, obviously you can bring as many to camp as you want, but you're ultimately going to end up with 8 or 9 on the roster, and you don't want a ton of young guys. So I know we did a mock draft the other day. We had 3 rookie linemen. You're not going to start 3 rookie linemen by necessity. I mean, unless it's out of necessity. So the numbers game, I think, does work against young guys. They're not afraid to put rookies out there, though. So that's a benefit as well. Christopher Helton says, what a do, Cody. Love what you do. Always can't wait for you to post a video. Texans Swarm. Appreciate you watching. Thank you, Christopher. SP3220. Cody, what's your favorite realistic O-line combo going into camp? Well, Ursary at left tackle, a rookie left guard, Andrews at center with someone challenging him, Titus Howard at right guard, and a free agent right tackle. That's my favorite / realistic O-line combo with a backup offensive tackle who's a young guy. So that would be what I would go with. Alan Heron has had a couple nice days. I would really appreciate inside to out this year's guard centers, please. Been some nice ones, and there's plenty that are not at the Senior Bowl that are going to be worthwhile good players. We Omar, we mentioned him a second ago. I don't know if you caught this after or before we mentioned him, but Ihanachor was awesome and was probably the best lineman out there today for my money. So Ihanachor is big thumbs up for me. How'd Luke Altmaier look? Read good things about the South Dakota quarterback. Yeah, so the Senior Bowl has 6 quarterbacks in here, highlighted by Diego Pavia as the most notable quarterback. And then the other 5 guys are just kind of all of a mismatch of different things. Altmaier is sort of a steady Eddie. Garrett Nussmeier's the once former top potential prospect. Sawyer Robertson is, hey, maybe he could turn into something. He didn't turn into something this year. Taylon Green's the athletic freak. He had a huge throw today that just Just a monster toss. And then Cole Payton is a left-handed guy from North Dakota State, and Payton had some really nice throws yesterday, and he had some good ones today. So Cole Payton's had some nice moments. I carry my weight near the middle of my body too. Professional athlete body right here, guys. Yeah, me too. Me too. Thanks for keeping us up to speed from the Senior Bowl. Hey, thanks for checking out the show. Thanks for checking out the show. Stoots, NFL Toots. Kathy, what are we doing here? Kathy, what are we doing here? Preston, I'm sorry I just saw this. I apologize. Usually Super Chats go to the front of the line. I'm sorry. Mark Fletcher Jr. will be nice in this running back room. Mark Fletcher Jr. is a monster. Okay. Is a monster. He is very good. And is he for sure in the draft? Because he can go back. He can go back. I know he's only a redshirt junior, I believe. So I think Fletcher's going to go back. Or he's only a junior. He's either a redshirt junior or only a junior. He's only a junior, so he can come out if he wants, but I think he's going back. If he comes out, Fletcher's one of my favorite running backs. I haven't seen anything official on him. But Fletcher's really good. Really good. Miami start those punch. Indiana player. No. Soars up the history books. No. Get out of here. I would love Fletcher. I don't think he's coming out, though. Need to find something official on that. Maybe he hadn't made the decision yet. Kathy, anything on Ott? Stick around, Kathy. The final two, we'll get you some Caden Ott stuff. Cody, do you think the Texans have a chance to get Caleb Banks from Florida and Anthony Hill Jr. as a linebacker from Texas? Certainly. They'll have an opportunity at Banks for sure. He's had a little bit of an injury issue that kept him off the field in 2025, but slow, a little sluggish yesterday, but he was really good today. Really good today. A free agent right tackle who weighs 400 pounds? No, come on now. I don't know. I wouldn't make Trent Brown my plan A, but I would have a plan Trent Brown in case I need it. All right, the running backs stand out. Lots of running back love for me today. I felt like there were about 6 running backs that had some really nice moments in this one, maybe even more. But both the Penn State running backs, Katron Allen, he's my favorite from yesterday, already a draft crush, and Nicholas Singleton had some nice moments. Thought Singleton showcased a little bit more of his speed and playmaking ability today than he did yesterday. Katron Allen had some really nice runs. He got kind of hemmed up in the receiving game after a good receiving game yesterday, and I wonder if the linebackers underestimated him yesterday, and that allowed him to kind of get the jump on him. But Katron Allen got kind of locked up by the linebackers today in the receiving game, but he had a really nice run that would have been a touchdown in a live rep. So make it 2 for 2. 2 practices, 2 would have been touchdowns for Katron Allen. And, well, he continues to be a favorite of mine. Adam Randall is a teammate of theirs on the national team, and Randall's a big guy, 6'2", 230. He looks like he's even heavier than that. He looks awkward because he's so much taller than your typical running back, but had some really good receiving reps, had some pass blocking moments where he looked good, ran the ball well a couple of times, and he strikes me as the type of guy that could be a late round, get in the building, and carve yourself out a role here for us as an emergency guy and some special teams. But some good stuff from Adam Randall, the Clemson running back. And then flipping it over to the American team, the evening practice, Jamari Taylor and Kalen Black both had some really nice moments, specifically in the receiving game. Black had more on the ground than Jamari Taylor, but Jamari Taylor's a fun watch. Smaller back out of Virginia. Kalen Black is a smaller back out of Indiana. And 9 days ago, he played the national championship, won, and he's still here working out. And somebody asked him after practice, why are you here? Like 9 days ago, you won a national championship. And he's like, I wanted to compete. Felt like it was important to come out here and continue to prove myself, Well, he did. He had a really nice run, the outside, got loose and had some vision moments early on where there weren't a lot of holes, and he went and kind of found them and blasted through them. So it was a good job by him. And Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas continues to impress. Mike Washington from Arkansas, some really nice moments from him. He hit one where he turned the corner. So I was watching. The offense was coming towards me, and I'm watching in the end zone. And Washington turned the corner and pivoted it upfield and just took off. A really nice rep. A little bit bigger, thicker guy than certainly some of his teammates. But Washington, really good in 2 days of practice. So this running back class was, not thought to be a really fun and impressive running back class after Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame running back who's going to be a first-round pick. But there's some names that are carving themselves out some opportunities and some roles, and I'm sure some of these guys are going to run fast at the combine. That'll get eyeballs on them again. So that was nice to see from Mike Washington. Mike Washington Jr., excuse me. Mike Washington Jr. And let's finish up with, hey, there are the tight ends. I mentioned yesterday the tight ends didn't really have a lot of big moments in the first day of practice, and some of that was the offense didn't have good days overall, and the defensive linemen were terrorizing the quarterbacks. And, well, the tight ends had a much better day. Sam Roush, my guy from Stanford, who is Mr. Prototype. He's 6'5", he's 260. He's one of the best blockers in this class. Man, he looked good catching the football. Had some really nice one-on-one reps, had some reps where he was getting loose from guys, had some good reps in team. But Roush is a fun watch when he does get that head of steam and they don't ask him to do too much at the receiving element. But he looked a little fluid, more fluid than he did yesterday. And his get off the line, I don't know if it's always going to be as clean as it looked in this one a couple of different times, but if you're not putting a hand on him, he can get off the line of scrimmage and go make something happen. And again, discernible skill where you can put him on the field day one. That is Roush. John Michael Gillenborg from Wyoming had a really nice play in the receiving game. He pops up on the radar because he's got a weird name. Really, that's where I first noticed. Is like, well, this guy's got a crazy name. But he's another bigger player, over 6'5", 250 pounds. Was pretty inconsistent at Wyoming, and I don't know if he's always going to give you a lot from a receiving standpoint, but again, give you a discernible skill, go be a big body, go out there and make some blocks. And then again, I mentioned this tight end class was supposed to be maybe a little deeper, and there are some really good tight ends that aren't here. Max Clare at Ohio State, Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. So there's some guys added to the equation a little bit later on. DJ Rogers at TCU, we talked about him, had the good finish to practice against Jacob Rodriguez and just beat Rodriguez in a one-on-one play towards the back end of practice. And a guy who I really hadn't paid a lot of attention to and was here, I feel like, primarily to showcase that he could block, was out there having a really good receiving day, and that's Texas A&M tight end Nate Borkacher. Borkacher is not a small fella, and he did not look out of place with the tackles when he was hanging out over there and spending some time getting some blocking in. He's listed at 6'4", 250. He looks a little bit bigger than that, but he had a really good catch in practice today. Had some nice moments from a receiving game standpoint. I just tore the lining out of my sweatshirt. Whoops. Had some really nice receiving game moments, and obviously he's in here to be a blocker. He's in here to showcase that blocking ability and that blocking talent. But nothing to really write home about from a receiving standpoint in his career. His high receptions was 19 this past year for A&M, 198 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's it. So maybe there's an unlock element that somebody will look at with him. But again, discernible skill. Can you put him on the field right away? Borkacher looked like you could put him on the field and maybe get something out of that receiving element of the tight end position. So those are the Senior Bowl 7 observations. A couple of linebackers stand out, some offensive lines bounce back, some good defensive line stuff, and then a little bit more from skill position players as well. So definitely interested in seeing some more from those guys. The final practice for both teams tomorrow. Will be in attendance for that as well. Let's finish up with your comments and your questions. Juan says, Cody, do you think the Texans could be the next Steelers, Mike Tomlin? Where DeMeco Ryans is here forever and they can't ever get past a certain part of the playoffs? I hope not. Batcar asks, did Gerard Johnson get an offensive coordinator job? He did not the last time I looked on social media, unless something broke here in the most recent memory. But Gerard Johnson is still the offense or the quarterbacks coach for the Houston Texans. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything breaking on social media. So yeah, he's still the quarterbacks coach. He interviewed for the offense coordinator job for the Eagles. They haven't hired anybody yet, so I guess he's still in consideration there. Mike says, I'm an Illini guy, would like Altmaier to compete, develop, but from what I'm hearing about the North Dakota QB, maybe it should be him. Oh, you're putting an eyeball on maybe a late round Mertz replacement. Interesting. I'm not opposed. Omar Villarreal, Stoots, we appreciate your work. I appreciate you. By the way, TriStar this weekend. Landry and I be out there on Saturday during the day, and we want you to come out and hang out with us at TriStar. We're going to be walking around. We're going to be maybe buying some cards. I'm going to be looking for some stuff to round out my autograph collection, and you can get a chance to meet and greet Charlie Sheen and Jeff Kent. Charlie Sheen and Jeff Kent. Meet and greets, the description in this video. You can go down there and fill out the form. We'll randomly pick the winners. We'll get the Jeff Kent winner picked on Friday, and we're going to pick the Charlie Sheen one tomorrow. So get your selections in here, or get your information in here, because we're going to get those picked and sent off to the winners. So Charlie Sheen's on Saturday, Jeff Kent's on Sunday. But a lot of football on Saturday at TriStar, a lot of baseball on Sunday at TriStar. And if you want tickets, reach out to me. I'm already scheduled to go drop some tickets off Friday to somebody. So if you want some tickets, let me know. I can get you some tickets to get in there. And the tickets work for Saturday or Sunday. I can't get it to you by Friday because I'm coming back from Mobile, but they work for Saturday or Sunday. Get you in, walk around. Maybe you see some autographs you like. Maybe you get enticed to go buy one of the meet and greets that are there. Who's the best running back available this year? Haven't kept up much with the rankings. Well, Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame's the best draft pick, and then the best free agent is Kenneth Walker, though I have a hard time thinking Seattle's going to let him go because Zach Charbonnet's probably going to miss most of next season with an injury. So I think Breece Hall probably checks in for most people's best if Kenneth Walker doesn't get re-signed, or if Kenneth Walker does get re-signed, excuse me. Omar, was Coach Popovich there, the offensive line coach for the Houston Texans, Cole Popovich? I didn't see any Texans guys there today. Doesn't mean they weren't there, but I didn't catch them because I was ready to kind of get these practice observations. I was moving around a little bit more. I did some quick scans, but I was really diving into practice. I didn't see them, but it didn't mean they weren't there. And even if they weren't there, everybody has scouts and eyeballs on everything. Neil says, how are you going to skip me, bro? What did I skip, Neil? Oh, here we go. Any chance that Texans get Ruben Fathery from Texas A&M? Let me see here. Ruben Fathery, the second from Texas A&M. Started at right tackle. I got to do some research on him. I haven't seen his name pop up on scouting stuff yet, but I need to do some research on him and see what happens. He's not here at the Senior Bowl. Crown over Zune, Borkerker, and I just screwed his name up. Yeah, no, Borkercher and Cronover are the or Scooby Williams are the only A&M players here. But if he's an offensive lineman, he's under consideration. I'll find out a little bit more about him probably around the combine, I would guess. Thoughts on Jadarian Price? That's the backup running back for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this past year. And when you're the backup to the best running back in college football, you don't get a lot of opportunities, but Price made the most of his chances. He's headed to the draft as a junior. He probably could have come back and increased his stock. I'm wondering if he's been told he's going to go very high, and that's why he's coming out. So probably a round 2 selection would be my guess. Mike's GM in the Texans and Madden crapped out on let's see, PC crapped out some on Xbox, traded CJ for Quinn Merritt's and Cortland Sutton. I'm going to make Davis Mills the GOAT. More power to you. More power to you. Ashton says, Cody, man, I just can't get excited about any of this yet. Still have no faith in CJ. Well, let's see if they're putting the right stuff around him and adding to what they already have around him. That will help you have faith in the 53 guys, and we'll find out about Stroud in 2026 for sure. For sure. Hoping Brevin Jordan plays some meaningful snaps this year. Yeah, hope's not a strategy. Hope's not a strategy. H-Town's drumming videos. Cody, we drafted Iowa State duo Higgins and Knoll last year. The Texans double-dipped and draft either the Iowa tackle duo or the Penn State running back duo. I don't know that I'd draft Singleton and Allen, but there's a center who's not here from Iowa who is a very good football player. And Dunker. So if you went with Dunker and the center that was really good for the Hawkeyes this year, Logan Jones. If you went with Dunker and Jones, it's not bad. 2-time first team All Big Ten, third team All Big Ten in 2023, a unanimous All American in 2025. The Joe Moore Award. The Iowa Hawkeyes won the Joe Moore Award this past year. So, Logan Jones and Dunker would be a nice little duo. Wouldn't double dip on the running backs. And we'll finish with this one. Bentman 1970. Cody, do you like the tight end out of Stanford? I do. Sam Roush. He had a really nice day today. He's smoother than yesterday. Was probably the way I would say it. Smoother in the route running, and he's a big body. And he moves around pretty well. And I do like him. And he's got a discernible skill on day one where you can deploy him, and that's blocking. So Sam Roush. Stan Roush? Sam Roush. Looking at the wrong roster. It's Sam. Now you got me second questioning. Sam, not Stan. Hey, Sam, I saw you at the Senior Bowl. You didn't say hi. You got a block for that CJ Stroud guy. Stan, Sam. If you get the reference, you thought that was funny. If not, well. H-Town drumming videos. Tanner Koziel's my draft cuss watching Houston games this year. He really impressed me as a potential future tight end one for the Texans. He's got to get a little bit bigger, and he's got to block better, but he can certainly help you in the receiving game. He hasn't had a standout a couple of days here at the Senior Bowl, but there's still time. There's still the game, and there's still practice number 3 tomorrow. So Koziel definitely going to be paying attention to him, but he feels like a one-trick pony. But again, discernible skill. You can put him on the field right away as a receiving option at tight end. And DeRhino says, I just looked up Jennings Dunker, and he looks like a phoenix. He is a unique-looking individual. That is for sure. So, I appreciate everybody for watching the Senior Bowl Day 2 show that wrapped it up here. So, appreciate that. Have Senior Bowl Day 3 tomorrow. Have SNL tomorrow at noon. Go get your opportunity to go meet and greet Charlie Sheen or Jeff Kent in the comment or in the description. And appreciate everybody for interacting in the comment section, the likes, the subscriptions, all of that. Appreciate you. And we end the live stream the same way each and every time. It's my hope for you. It's my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hip-hoppity, dip-doppity-doo.